The root-bound pathologist. I'll never forget that moment when my family stood around the dinner table, laughter echoing off the faded wallpaper while I struggled to choke down the bile rising in my throat. A haunted plant? Really, Emily? You've completely lost it. My brother's voice rang out like the sharp crack of a bone breaking, and I could feel my heart splintering under the weight of their mockery. Every single one of them had joined in, their faces twisted into expressions of disbelief and derision. "You disgrace us," my father had thundered, his deep-set eyes ablaze with anger. "Get a real job, for God's sake! You're chasing shadows and folklore. You'll end up in a loony bin." I stormed out of that house, leaving my family's laughter ringing in my ears, cutting deeper than any knife. They didn't understand. Couldn't grasp the truth buried beneath the layers of supernatural folklore and botanical anomalies I was weaving together. But I did. I had seen what they couldn't, how the unspeakable was creeping into our world, hidden behind the veil of disbelief. Now, after years of scorn and isolation, I was returning home, bearing the weight of knowledge that would have made them tremble. The once ridiculed obsession had become a relentless drive, an all-consuming journey through the shadows, and in my descent, I had emerged not as a disgrace, but as a warning. A harbinger of the darkness that was waiting to engulf them. As I approached the familiar old house, its cracked windows resembling hollow eyes, my heart raced with a mix of dread and anticipation. I could feel the chill of the autumn breeze wrapping around me, whispering secrets from the cursed flora I had studied, secrets that now clung to me, festering like a wound. With each step on the gravel path, I recalled the faces of my family, twisted in laughter, ignorant of the horrors I had uncovered. I knocked, my knuckles brushing the weathered wood, and the sound echoed like a death knell. My mother opened the door, her expression shifting from surprise to a flash of something akin to fear as I stepped over the threshold. "Emily," she breathed, her voice barely a whisper. The room was filled with the scent of freshly baked bread, a stark contrast to the darkness looming within me. "Mom," I said, forcing a smile, but my eyes betrayed the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Your father, he's not feeling well," she warned, glancing back as if expecting the very shadows themselves to come alive. It was then I realized she had known what I'd been through. The laughter that had once filled this house was now replaced with a thick, suffocating silence. "What's wrong with him?" I asked, my voice sharper than intended. She hesitated. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." As the words left her mouth, I could see the flicker of recognition in her eyes, a burgeoning fear that didn't belong to my return, but to something else entirely. He was waiting for me in the dimly lit living room, his figure slouched in an armchair, the kind that had always made him seem larger than life. My father looked up as I entered, his face pale, shaking slightly. "Emily," he said, almost pleading, "you need to leave this place. You have to." "Why?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "Why should I run from the truth? I came here to show you something, to prove to you that I wasn't mad." I stared him down, the shadows of my past flaring behind me like a roaring inferno. That's when the plants began to bloom. At first it was subtle, just a flicker of movement in the corner of my eye. But then they surged forth, green tendrils twisting out from between the floorboards, creeping up the walls like sentient vines hungry for flesh, carrying with them the sense of decay and whispers of secrets long buried. "Emily, what have you done?" my brother shouted, horror etched across his face as he backed away. But it was too late. I stepped forward, clutching a handful of the cursed flora I had harvested, the result of my years of research and exposure to the darkness that my family had dismissed so casually. "I've brought the truth home, I proclaimed, my voice resonating with the weight of my discovery. The plants writhed around him, wrapping tightly, their leaves glistening with a viscous dark sap that dripped onto the floor. I could hear their whispers now, a cacophony of voices buried deep in the roots. Echoing the truths I had unearthed, the lies of the living, the darkness that lurked beneath everyday life. My mother clutched her chest, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Emily, please, stop this!" she cried, but it was clear that the truth was beyond her reach now. "I expose what you refuse to see," I replied, my heart racing with a bittersweet triumph. "The cursed flora seeks you out because it knows the world is darker than you ever imagined." I turned to my father, who was gasping for air, the roots tightening around him like a noose. "You mocked me, but now you face the consequences of your disbelief." As he sank into the twilight of his own ignorance, I felt a tumultuous mix of sorrow and vindication. They had jeered at my passion, my fear, my obsession. Now, as the truth unfurled like a grotesque flower in their home, they would understand. I turned to leave, stepping into the suffocating shadows that had become my life. Behind me, I could hear the cries of my family, caught in the web of their own making, drowning in the very beliefs they had cast aside. I had become what they had feared most, a beacon of what lay beneath the surface. Outside, the moon hung low in the sky, casting a shroud of silver light upon the world. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had become an unwitting guardian of the horrors lurking in the shadows, and it was a burden I would carry for the rest of my days. A dark crown forged in truth and disbelief, reminding me and those who would dare mock again of the price we pay for ignorance. And as the night settled in, I knew this was only the beginning.